Get those off your face. It's
Get that off of your face. Get that slug.
This is man.
Pedo stash off of your face that your wife made you do.
And we're ready.
I'm sorry, I like to think I'm one of your biggest supporters in anything that you feel that you can do. On a serious note, I would be like, you can rock this, or you can do this, you can achieve this. I support you, and anything I can do to help you, I will do. But the fact that you're rocking that is the thing that I will not support. I don't even want to sit near it.
I've got a little pick for it. Like, you know, the Afro picks they use, I got a pick for it.
Oh, the most white trash thing of all time. Speaking of white trash, I was drinking moonshine.
Moonshine!
Well, I wasn't because I'm not drinking while the missus is pregnant, but the family were drinking moonshine over Christmas. Keep it on the down low.
What do you mean?
Moonshine.
Homemade liquor?
Oh, yeah.
From where?
Don't worry about it.
You made liquor?
I didn't make it. It was pre-made and brought.
From England?
Not from England.
From Toronto?
No, not from Toronto. Don't worry about it. Some of
Calgary.
my family had some pre-made moonshine that was locally made.
Why not just... Okay, I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2023. As you can see, it's all new beginnings.
It's a whole year.
I'm going to do it all year. I'm just going to leave it. And it's going to enhance the world we live in. So I've been told today's the last day we're allowed to say Happy New Year. Beyond this, it's too far gone. So Happy New Year. And today we are going through what everyone is aware of, which is the Vancouver property assessments are in. And the assessments in Vancouver have risen apparently on average 12%. Meaning you pay more taxes. Is it just? Is it just?
No, of course it's not just, because they recently upped property taxes anyway, and then they're increasing by the 12% in order to recoup money. That whole tax situation is a whole other conversation that we don't need to get into on the first video of 2023.
Whole tax situation?
What we think is fair. What is not
levels
fair,
of taxation,
and what should be done about it. That's a whole series that we need to spend half a year creating. But nonetheless, the BC assessments are out. It's gonna be a doozy.
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 It's a doozy.
A doozy.
To use a Canadian or American phrase, because now we're seeing it's all well and good when people are trying to sell their homes and your assessed value says 2 million, but your agent is coming in and your market value is 2.5 million. Yeah, who cares about assessed? Of course, our market value is 2.5 million. But now it's the other way around, and your market value is not 2.5 million, it's 1.5 million, and your assessed says you're at 2 million. It's that perceived loss of value, even though it is that keyword perceived. There's no value. The key thing to remember, in my opinion, and I think you share this with the BC assessment, has zero relevance on market value. It's just an arbitrary number that the government puts on in order to tax you. It has nothing to do with your market value. The government have not been around your house, or have they? Alexa, have the government been in the house? Anyway,
they
have not been in the house.
They have comps. How investigated these comps are is a whole other world. Because the comps to my house are definitely not comps that I would use for market value.
No, they're not, of course. So they're not actually relevant at all. They're just a number that they can use in order to garnish a tax from you in the form of property tax.
Yeah, so we've been saying this for years, of course. A few things. So the average is 12%. But also there's a little homeowner's grant, as we all know. Just a little, just stay motivated, kid, and keep going out there and making that money and paying these taxes, and you're going to get a grant. The BC government is boosting the homeowners grant threshold. So it used to be threshold, is that English? At 1.975, and now the threshold is 2.125 million that you can achieve this grant in. And just for some perspective, the BC grant for those who live in their homes in Metro Vancouver, the Fraser Valley and Capital Regional District, is $570.
If you listen quietly, you can still hear those who own $2 million homes sighing with relief that they're going to be able to make it through 2022.
So the assessments went up. So they're pulling from June last year.
And so that's a key thing. People don't realize that the assessments, they don't just follow our market. So that number doesn't change because it's now it's a heated market, or it's now a very cooling market, or buyers or sellers market. They go from like 6 months of the year before to 6 months of the July, right? It's July last year.
Sorry, July, yes, not June.
July last year. And they kind of usually end up capturing two markets. So obviously the market is significantly shifted since what even the start of the year, July was last year, even July last year. So they're not capturing the market as it is nowadays. So that's where the divide comes and the complete loss of perception. Carry on.
Yeah, so July last year, they do their little assessment, which is now, in saying this, you can dispute said assessed value. You can call your local realtor and you can get actual and authentic comparables to the home, which justify down. No one in the right mind should ever
justify
upping their assessments. So when you dispute down, and get your local comps. And, well, people think that...
I'm trying to think, would you even need to dispute up?
Yeah, because people believe that it shows value, and they're willing to pay more taxes in the meantime. I've talked to many people who ask and reach out, can I dispute this because I think my property is worth more? And it's like, well, why do you want... So what are the value propositions of that, of it being worth more? If you believe, which the market does not, if you believe that a higher assessed home, the government says it's worth more, therefore they're charging you more tax on, that you'll sell for more, or if you need a higher assessed value to borrow against the home. So those ratios obviously change, how much equity is in the home. You want to pull the little North American card out of the back pocket of using your home as an ATM to go out and buy whatever the hell you need to buy. Hopefully we don't do that, but many do. So if you have a higher assessed value, those numbers are a bit easier to pull equity out of. But that's it. So that's just building you more debt, and then the higher assessed value is charging you more tax. So there's no positive in being assessed higher, because it does not reflect market value
at all. The way to look at it is purely a number that the government are going to assess you on to tax you for property taxes. That's it.
What I don't know, and I've got my assessed value. I can check the tax report to see if it actually what the cost is. So mine went up $100,000. What the actual cost difference to me in taxes is. Now, there's also the churning wheels of the percentages that they're charging you within that for the school board, for the roads, blah, 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 where all that goes. So it's not apples to apples, and I think that adjusts as well, probably year over year. But what the actual end result burden is, difference, is something I'm looking into. But just one other thing on that, funny we talk about this the way we do. That article that came out yesterday in Bloomberg, titled BC Government Increases Homeowners Grant Limit as Home Values Rise 12%. In the center of this article, discussing the BC Assessment Agency, they say the agency says that while some people may be worried about their taxes going up, on top of everything else that's going up, thanks to the government these days. If they've had a large hike in the value of their home, the most important factor is how much the value has changed relative to the average increase of properties in their area. So they're even telling you, don't worry about it, it's better to have a higher assessed value, which is totally goddamn irrelevant when it comes to selling and anything other than borrowing money against the home.
Yeah, the biggest challenge that comes with BC assessment values is...
They're a government agency.
No, it's
they can't be
specifically
trusted.
when it comes to real estate.
They don't use real information. They can't be trusted. Sorry.
When it works the other way around, so when you've got an assessed value which is, say, 2 million, but you're selling a property and the market value is 2.5 million, that's fine because the sellers don't really care because they're like, oh no, of course the assessed value means nothing because so-and-so were 2.5 million. I feel buyers are more in line with BC assessed values meaning nothing. So of course, some of them, you'll still get them. They're like, here's our offer because this is assessed value. If you're a professional realtor, FYI, just to throw this out here, and you're actually using that as a genuine comparable and genuine knowledge, just hang your license up. You just go walk straight back into the board and you just give them your license back.
Not only should you quit, you should run.
But there's a lot more understanding, I think, with buyers as opposed to sellers because there's no perceived loss of value. Now, as a seller, sellers are always trying to hold to getting the most value for their asset, which I can completely understand. So when you've got something saying, okay, you're worth 2 million, and you've got a realtor coming in, or multiple realtors coming in, looking at the comparables and saying you're 1.5 million or 1.75 million, your perceived losses, we're losing 250, 500,000. You never had that money in the first place. Now it's going to become even more of a challenge because sellers had already not reduced expectation enough, as we were talking about a lot last year. So now this is basically another level thrown onto sellers to stop them adjusting to realistic expectations. So it's going to cause an interesting balance over the next 6 months, I think, as we start to get into it. But
yeah, I think that buyers are always looking for leverage to get them to get sellers down. It's been such a seller's market for so long that, I mean, listings we've got now where I'm seeing this, not this one, but past assessments and being used as, attempted to be used as points of leverage to get prices down. There's no relevance. The sellers just don't care. I mean, if you bring tangible comps, and some sellers don't care either way, if you bring tangible comparables, what the market has bought something for, yes, that's a relevant point, but an assessed value just simply isn't. And I think, to your point, there's obviously been a lot of resistance from sellers coming down from the highs of last year when the rates began in March to increase. And this is definitely probably one more thing. Well, I'm paying more taxes now as well based on the assessed value, so I'm not going to let it go for this. But sellers, you need to take into consideration as well that from the other side, this does not prop you up in any way. It is not a market value reflection in any way.
no, I find condos are the best example for this because houses, they're a little bit more different, if you will. But if your assessed value in a condo comes in at, say, 1.25 million and the one below you, which is just the same as yours, or the one above you, which is just the same as yours, sold for 1 million, you're not getting 1.25 million. It's just not going to happen because you said that the BC assessed value says it's 1.25 million. You are far more accurate going by the recent comparables. And to our point earlier, in all seriousness, it's fantastic when it works out for you and no, your assessed value is lower than what you're actually worth. That's a good message to hear, but if it does go that way sometimes, it does have to go the other way. And in this case, that's where it's at because the assessed values were taken before the market adjusted downwards, before prices adjusted downwards, and that's where we are now.
Yeah, and I think sellers have again, when it goes high and they can sell higher, that's fine and that's nice to have in the back pocket. But I think that more people need to be disputing it and pushing it down because I think there's just simply, and it's not a huge amount. I mean, what's anyone's property tax worth depending on the size of the unit, typically between maybe 2,500 and, again, depending on the house, maybe seven or 8,000. I believe in taking that high side and saying, okay, well, the assess it down there and we're up here. On the other side, you should be disputing a lot more often, calling your agent, getting comps and saying, can I dispute this down? There's absolutely no value in keeping all of these assessed values inflated. All that is doing is paying more money out the back door and not getting anyone any more money for their properties. So there's no tangible value other than the loss of further tax dollars here.
On your note about the HELOC loans that some are doing,
Yes.
the home equity loans, there is discussion that they will be reviewed and adjusted criteria-wise and a few other standpoints, obviously because of what's happened with interest rates and whatnot. So we'll keep an eye on that, and when that actually happens, we'll be able to let you guys know, because I don't think it's as highly leveraged in Canada as in the US.
Is anything as leveraged as the US?
I was about to say, I don't know how much comfort that brings.
I think we're getting there, but yes, I agree with that.
Yep, so that cash machine, that free ATM machine, which is not free in any way, shape or form, could be going through some changes as well.
As it should. I think that is something that we saw a lot of when the market was flying. People tapping out at variable rates, tapping out equity to reno and to buy whatever they buy. But just having the money right there, especially at like 1%, is a little bit too easy to do what they do, which can also further get people into trouble, as we know.
And
so, yeah.
I am going to make a call right now, and obviously we've done a lot of discussions on various different investments, crypto, precious metals, real estate, watches, things like that. I'm going to make the call now. Real estate is hands down going to be the best long-term investment. And like I would be, even though interest rates are what they're at now, I would be and I am extremely bullish on real estate investments now. And we can do a video on this next week, but purely from the number of immigrants that we are welcoming into the country.
Did Casey send that to you?
No.
Canada's population grew by 776,217 people in the first 9 months of 2022.
Population, we welcome 400,000 plus permanent residents, and we are welcoming residents.
700.
No, that's population, not residents though. Populations could be like work visas. I think people here temporarily as well. Yeah, so we welcomed like north of, I think it was like 412,000 of permanent residents, and we already do not have enough property. And it's the same thing as Apple being the only stock you can buy in the stock market.
My Apple stock is up 3,500%.
You're going to be far oversubscribed with not enough product to go around. Everyone's going to be wanting to invest in it. I'm making the call. We can do a video on it next week. The first video of the week, here I am.
That we don't have enough supply because of the influx?
We just don't have enough supply as it is, and then the influx is not slowing down, it's ramping up with no solution to housing supply. So it's the same thing as those who went out and bought toilet roll when it was going like out of stock during COVID and stuff like that.
Okay, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper.
It's the same concept. Obviously that was wrong and you're trying to take advantage of the situation, but for me, real estate, hands down, is going to be the safest. And we've even come out and said before, at the time, we feel the stock market is a better option.
Long term, no, I don't
So
disagree.
I'm just making a call. First video of 2023. Get rid of that stash as well. That's my second call. Arguably more important than that first call.
Of those, 116,000 of those 770 that came for the first 9 months of last year came to BC. Mm-hmm. Tie that in with so there's, yes, the population growth, the official, the 400 and something, but layer on the loopholes to the foreign buyers ban.
No, there's no foreign buyers ban. Like, everyone just stop. There's no foreign buyers ban. Doesn't exist.
There will be dramatically more than the whatever their forecast was, 400.
They might as well have put like under the exceptions, if you say please.
Please, I'm saying please.
Isn't that how you got a passport?
No, I got
You directly? Just were polite?
You think me? You think I text Trudeau and said, come on, please?
Text someone.
No way. I'm still hoping that he thinks I'm not even aware. I did see something the other day though, and I was like, ooh, is this the way that Canada's going? And this was
If it's cringy, then it probably is.
No, it's residents in Hong Kong, and they basically like live in these tubes that are about 150, 200 square feet, and they pay like 300, 400
We're
to live
not
there.
getting to tube living.
And it was
That's against human rights here. Jesus, you need at least 1,000 square feet not to border the human rights argument in Canada.
you need 1,000 square feet here in Vancouver. You're paying north of $1 million for that easy.
Fine. You want your human rights upheld, you need 1,000 square feet.
No.
Anything less would be uncivilized.
No.
I told you I raised our first kid in 420 square feet. You've all heard that story.
We've all heard that abysmal.
420, the three of us.
should have-
Perfect little family.
We should have recorded that move out of your...
That was the smoothest move of all time. Anyway.
I think that pretty much sums it up. So please pay zero attention to your BC
Fight
assessment.
your BC
unless
assessment.
It's fighting it, yes. Fighting it down.
Does not.
Down.
Definitely down.
Don't fight it up.
There's zero value putting it up. It has no bearing on market value. Dispute.
Yeah. I'm up for a dispute as well. So if anyone disagrees with us, throw your stuff in the comments. We will happily talk and go back and forth.
We got a record number of SALT comments in the last video of last year, including
A record number of sock comments.
including a reference to Couch Conversations number 2, which is 2 years old.
That was COVID times, right?
On the.
Do you remember me calling you and singing a theme song to Couch Conversations? Needless to say, it didn't get
make the
picked
cut?
up, no.
But there was a Spanish reference. It was in Spanish. I had to Google Translate.
No habla inglés, eh?
Spanish to English, and it was Couch Conversations. I want more sock exposure like I saw in Couch Conversations number 2. It's
Can you slow motion that?
ridiculous. I still don't understand it.
Slow motion
Anyway,
that.
thank you. Bye now.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.